class, today we're going to learn about special triangles, but first we have to go over a review of angles, okay? So everyone remembers what radians and degrees are, right? So for radians, you have to multiply the degree by pi and divide it by 180, and then you'll get the answer in radians. So for example, 90 degrees, we have 90 pi over 180, and that's going to equal pi over 2. These cancel, okay? So then 90 is really pi over 2. They're the same thing. But we need to remember these, okay? Because these angles show up all the time, and it would be a bother to have to do this every single time. Okay? So we have 90 degrees equals pi over 2. We have 60 degrees equals pi over 3. 45 equals pi over 4. And 30 degrees equals pi over 6. These are all degrees, and these are all radians. Very important to remember. Okay, so special triangles. Okay, so these are our special triangles over here, okay? We're going to go with the easiest one first, which is our 90, 45, 45 degree triangle. That's our first special one, okay? This little box right here means that it's always going to be a right angle. Right angle means 90 degrees. Okay, so this box is 90 degrees, and then these are 45, and you have to remember that triangles have to equal 180. So 90 plus 45 plus 45, it equals 180, okay? And then these are the lengths of these sides, okay? So the length of this side is going to be 1, the length of this side is going to be 1, and the length of this side is going to be the square root of 2. And how did I come up with that? Well, here we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, which I know you guys remember. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so here we have 1 squared plus 1 squared, and that's going to equal the square root of 2 squared. But if we remember, these cancel out, okay? So then we just get 2, and then we get 1 plus 1 equals 2. So that's good. Okay, so now let's move on to our second special triangle, which is our 90. You see this, the box? Remember, it's always a right angle, 90 degrees. So 90, 60, 30. Okay, so this is our 90, 60, 30 triangle. All right, and then these lengths, this is the square root of 3, this is 1, and then this is 2. And here, I proved it again for you with the Pythagorean theorem. 1 squared plus the square root of 3 squared, which is really just 3 because they cancel out, equals 2 squared. 1 plus 3 equals 4, so we're good. The only problem is that sometimes people forget which number goes where on the 90, 60, 30, because it's not as easy as the 45, 45. So some tips that you should follow so you never forget is that 90 degrees is the biggest angle. So it's going to have the longest length, the max number of the sides, so that's 2. Okay, and this is the smallest angle, so it's going to have the smallest side, which is 1. This is the middle angle, so it's going to have the middle length. Okay, so that shouldn't be too hard to remember. Alright, so now SOHCAHTOA is going to be our best friend. Okay, so SOHCAHTOA. Remember in your head. So stands for sine, which equals opposite over hypotenuse, OH. Okay? Cosine, C, equals adjacent, A, over hypotenuse, H. Okay? SOHCA. And then TOA. T stands for tan, and then equals opposite, O, all over adjacent, A. Okay? So now, if we look at this triangle here, and say this is the angle, this is the opposite side, and this is the adjacent side. Okay, and same up here. If we have the angle from here, we go down here, this would be the opposite side, and then this would be the adjacent side. And this is always the hypotenuse because it is the longest side, okay? You will never mix up the hypotenuse because it's always going to be the longest side. Okay, so how do we write it? I would ask you a question such as, what is the cosine of theta? Theta is this angle here. Theta just replaces any degree. It could be 30 degrees, 45 degrees, any degree. It's just a symbol to replace a degree. Okay, so the cosine of theta equals what? Okay, well, cosine is ka, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we go adjacent, which is A, all over hypotenuse, which is H. Okay, so that's what the cosine of theta equals. Alright, let's go over some examples. So with this, we have a 90, 60, 30 degree triangle, one of our special triangles, and I want you guys to find these values, okay? But the thing is, I didn't plug anything in for you, so let's plug it in. So, since it's a 90, 60, 30 degree triangle, the biggest value goes across from 90, right? So this is going to be 2. The smallest goes across from the smallest, so that's going to be 1. Middle goes across from the middle, that's going to be the square root of 3. Okay, so this is the angle that I want you to find it, and I said find sine of 30. Remember, sine is so katoa. Sine is so opposite over hypotenuse. So we have 1 all over 2. So that would be your answer here. Then we have cosine of 30. So we have cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so adjacent, which would be square root of 3, all over hypotenuse, which would be 2. So that would be your answer here. Okay, so tan of 30, which is SOHCAHTOA, so opposite over adjacent. So opposite, 1, all over adjacent, square root of 3. Okay, and you put that right there. And that's all you got to do with that one. Okay, let's move on to the second example. So here, this one looks a little different, but this is just like the other ones. I just didn't really label it for you. And I have this in radians. If you remember from before, pi over 4 really equals 45 degrees. And since this is 90, because of the box, right, it's a right triangle, and that's 45, this one has to also equal 45, or else it won't be 180 degrees, okay? So this is really 45 degrees, okay? And if you remember, this side's going to be 1, this side's going to be 1, and this side's going to be the square root of 2. So now I want you to find the sine of pi over 4. Sine, so opposite over hypotenuse, we go opposite, 1 all over hypotenuse, square root of 2. Cosine is actually going to be the same thing. Adjacent, which is 1 all over the square root of 2. Get the same answer. That's something you need to remember. Right, and tan of pi over 4. So opposite, 1 all over adjacent, 1. So the answer would just be 1. Okay? And then you have one more question on your note worksheet, and then you'll be done. See you in class tomorrow.